At exactly 16 hours and 50 minutes, the freezing, pitch-black waters of the Arctic Circle erupted into an absolute structural disaster. A lone German capital ship, attempting a desperate maritime breakout in a blind blizzard, was suddenly ambushed by a heavy radar-guided British task force. The flagship HMS Duke of York focused her massive main deck gun structures onto the trapped target, unleashing a devastating salvo at peak combat velocity. A high-velocity shell array pierced straight through the upper armor plates, detonating the battleship's core ammunition magazine in a single fraction of a second. The colossal capital ship was split cleanly into two massive pieces, a catastrophic mechanical anomaly that sent a towering column of smoke into the frozen sky, turning a premier armored bastion into an inescapable metal graveyard, and leaving an entire task force completely paralyzed by a single point-blank bombardment. To understand how this high-speed maritime chase turned into an immediate slaughterhouse, we must track the flight paths of the hidden fleet. Hours earlier, the German warship slipped silently into the northern sea channels, attempting to intercept an Allied supply convoy, running under a total communication blackout and a heavy blizzard. Her vector path was completely invisible to standard air networks. But the British Admiralty established an intense tracking matrix, deploying heavy cruisers equipped with advanced radar screens to monitor the deep ocean swell layout. When the hunting units finally tracked her coordinates inside the pitch-black void, a fast-paced interception sequence began, matching two separate naval strategies on a collision course toward an absolute execution order. The clock hits 16 hours and 17 minutes, and the high-speed navigation array locks onto its targets through the total darkness. Out in the freezing sea channels, the British squadron emerges from the storm, tracking the enemy hull layout at a distance of 12,000 yards. On the flagship's bridge structure, operators align a massive, high-precision electronic radar tracking screen layout, calculating the precise trajectory metrics for a frontal assault. They open fire first, sending a wave of heavy artillery shells screaming through the sky. A blinding star shell illuminates the ice mountain backdrop, exposing the German ghost ship. The German captain tries to trigger his high-speed tactical smokescreen unit, but the radar-guided paything ignores the visual barrier, creating an immediate self-destructive liability. The British gunners execute their point-blank bombardment with terrifying mechanical precision. On the final salvo, a 14-inch armor-piercing shell hits the exact coordinates of the German warship's forward weapon deck. It cuts straight through the thin deck armor, detonating the main storage vaults containing tons of explosive propellant bags. The resulting explosion defies belief, a monumental thermal emission accent that vaporizes the middle structure layout in less than a millisecond. A flash of blinding red light illuminates the entire ocean surface as the 3,000-ton forward hull snaps under the intense kinetic force. Water rushes into the exposed machinery spaces, trapping the entire crew inside a falling metal tomb as the ghost ship vanishes beneath the waves in less than 3 minutes. The catastrophic explosion leaves only a massive debris field covering the frozen water layout. The flagship has completely vanished, leaving miles of floating wreckage, loose cork life buoy rings, and broken wooden spar pieces scattered across the anchorage grid. Trailing rescue boats and a lone destroyer utility cutter navigate through a thick slick of engine oil leaking from the severed fuel bunkers, attempting a desperate containment routine to recover the lone 36 survivors out of nearly 2,000 men. The unprecedented tactical disaster triggers an emergency Admiralty Board inquiry hub, forcing an absolute overhaul of global fleet command architecture and deck armor defense legislation. The loss of the Scharnhorst remains a permanent anomaly in the archives, a dark lesson on the supersonic cost of a single design blind spot.